I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, March the 4th, brought to you in part by Zactran. Wide swings. I tell you what, your publicly traded markets, just huge swings, just way up and way down, and then back and forth and falling somewhere in between. A stock market took a big hit. It was down near 800 points after being up 1,300 points there earlier in the week. Just topsy-turvy every which way. The Fed lowered interest rates a half a point on Tuesday morning there, and that was a special session deal called. Nobody saw that coming. You would have thought that the stock market would have been straight up, and it was for a while, but then it went volatile and then ended up down hard. But your cattle futures were up and down hard. Your grains looked like they were going to be higher and then moderated back. It was just a up and down deal everywhere, and you know, a lot of it has to do with this coronavirus. I'd say most of it does. Nobody really knows what's going to happen there. We keep getting more reports about more people being sick and some people succumbing to the disease, which is a bad deal. But you know, sometimes people get sick and die, and it happens every day all over the world. And it's due to one disease or another, pneumonia, which this is kind of a form of. But I tell you what, they just got everybody running scared and trying to find something to put over their face and cleaning out shelves of things and staying home and not going anywhere. And I don't know, it's hard telling how bad this thing is going to get. But also, on top of that coronavirus deal, we're in an election year, and I tell you what, that brings a lot of volatility when you're in an election year. And you guys know I'm a Trump supporter, but I think most people can agree that if Trump loses the presidential election in November, it's probably not going to be a good thing for business because he was pro-business and has been since the start, and we've got some socialists coming in. You talk about anti-business, that's a socialist deal for sure. But your Democratic establishment has appeared to have made deals to get more of these moderate, lower line candidates for the Democratic presidential nomination out. And most of those have come in and supported Biden, so that's kind of narrowing up their efforts there. And you know that Mayor Pete, he was running second in the delegates and just up and quit, and then put his support behind Biden, and it's almost as if he got paid off or promised some kind of a cabinet position or something like that. But I tell you what, it's causing some upheaval around. Some people think if they get all their efforts together, maybe they have a chance to beat Trump. Of course, all your polls say that they're all beating him, and you know, they couldn't gather the kind of crowds he gathers with a year to prepare. You know, and he'll post one a week out. So it's really interesting to see what's going to happen, and we're in a lot of uncertainty in our political world and in our government facets too. So it's hard to see what's going to happen there. You know, I like to tell about what's going on with DV Auction. We're right here in our production sale season. Busy. Multiple sales every day, and just huge numbers of sales on the weekend. I want to show you a little bit of information about our video catalogs. And guys, people shop for their bulls and their replacement stock online now, and that's the way they do it. And currently DV Auction is featuring 113 video catalogs that people can shop through, and in those catalogs they include 9,700 different lots of cattle on the commercial side, or on the production sales side, excuse me. Over 58,000 total views of those, and over 625,000 plays of those videos that are on there. So that's how you need to shop your stock now, is get your video catalogs out there prior to your sale a week or two, and let people go through there and look and see what you've got. Look at your board on Tuesday. April live cattle futures down a nickel at 110.10. Boy, it just seems like it's a long ways. June down 60 cents at 103.37. August is about the same. Looks like it could be kind of a long, hot miserable winter or summer this summer with the market down and against the cattleman's favor. But December contracts through early 2021 were all down $1.25 to $1.50. It just kind of a rough day on your cattle futures. March feeder cattle, they were up earlier and then ended up down, but down 20 cents at 133.52. April ended up down $1.27 at 133.77. Your out fronts, late summer and fall, all down over $2. Fat cattle trade non-existent so far. So by this time last week, we had already sold 40-some thousand head. Well, we haven't sold a hoof yet, negotiated cash in the country. And we're hoping that the guys kind of dig in, but we're seeing kind of a similar deal where we've got call-in bids, $1 or $2 back from what they traded last week from the packers, and then they're hoping that the asking prices will come in there and then they can buy cattle steady after taking $5 away from us last week. Hopefully the guys will stay hooked a little bit more, but being that they have no leverage, and I'm going to continue to preach about this, guys, until something gets done about it. We have to establish a minimum amount of negotiated cash trade as a percentage of the total volume of sales through the week. And you got to get your major packing plants, and it needs to be per packing plant too. Can't just be in the 5-area region. I tell you, the packers know every game in the book to try to get things in their favor. It's got to be each major packing plant has to have a certain percentage of their buy in a week's time negotiated cash trade. And we're getting some level of buy-in on this idea from all your major cattlemen's groups. Now I've talked to representatives from all of them. They're all pretty much in favor of this. A lot of your major players in the industry are in favor of this, and probably one of the holdbacks is how are you going to get it done? Do you have to make a law, or what do you got to do? And then everybody knows if we do that route, we're going to have to get the PNS, the Packers and Stockyards Administration involved, and nobody has any confidence in them, and they'll probably have even less whenever we get this report that we've been waiting on the investigation of the plant fire and the way that the collusion and the market crash on the cattle side happened after that fire. But they just keep dragging their feet on that deal, waiting for it to get further out of people's minds, and nothing's going to be done. But there may be a way to make this percentage trade negotiated cash enforceable through MPR, or mandatory price reporting. You know, it's up for a reauthorization this year, and NCBA working committees are looking into that and maybe making some changes. They may be able to enforce that minimum negotiated cash trade through MPR. That's an idea there. If guys want to address that, they could just say, you know, they won't post those base prices, the high for the week, the 5-area weighted average, the weighted average within the major trade areas. They won't post those unless they get a minimum amount of volume through there. It's just like a confidentiality rule. Why not do that? You know, the NCBA working committees are addressing that and looking into it, and that's where the rubber really meets the road. If we want to get something done in the cattle industry, we've got to go through NCBA, because they are, in theory, representing cattle producers and packers, but they've got such a big membership and such a big following, such a big lobbying group, that what they say in their policy usually ends up going. But let's see if they've got guts enough to save the industry or not. But you look at your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction ended the day on Tuesday at 134.58, down 14 cents, and we gained ground, remember, Monday, and that was the first time we'd gained in over a week. But look at your CME cash feeder cattle index. It's at 134 even. If you watch this video market report regularly, you'll remember just a couple of days ago your RTI was at 134 even. And I tell you guys that the RTI is a precursor to the CME index. It always is a day or two behind, and that's just a little bit more proof of that. Let's talk about your big sales on Tuesday, and there really wasn't that many big sales. People are afraid of the market. They're holding back right now. They don't have to sell them. A lot of guys don't, so they're not doing it. And it's starting to help bring the market around a little bit, because there's still people out there wanting to buy cattle, especially stocker cattle, because we continue to get closer and closer to turnout dates on our early grass, and we've got a lot of graze out wheat out there. If guys can get some hand on some stockers for them. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma had 1,500 calves for their calf sale on Tuesday. Steer calves $3 to $8 higher. Spots 10 on your 4 to 500 pound steers. Heifer calves $5 to $10 higher. Ozarks Regional Stockyards, West Plains, Missouri, 2,000 head there. Steers and heifers were $2 to $3 higher for the most part, except for those 4 to 500 or 500 and down weight steers, and they were 5 to 8 higher. Everybody wants a 500 pounder and down stocker steer to turn out, and they're scarce and people want them. But you look at your impressive quotes for the day on Tuesday. Denny Rezac Livestock Commission, St. Mary's, Kansas, 85 head, 617 pound steers, 167. Impressive quote. Kyle Lehman sale, North Platte, Nebraska, North Platte Stockyards, 69 head of 587 pound steers at 173. That's scaring 600 pounds pretty good. But then your big impressive sale at Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota, nearly 3,000 head there. There were more pluses on the sheet compared to last week than there were losses, but pretty impressive market there for the way things are. And especially on your 5 weights, just like anywhere else, even up in the Northern Plains. Let's look at some best tested weights on steers. 348 head of 6 weight steers averaged 649 at 154.55. 636 head of the 7 weight steers averaged 752 at 144.83 on the weighted average price. A little over 400 head of 8 weight steers averaged 851 at 139.32. On the heifer side, 371 head of 6 weight heifers averaged 662 at 141.79, and 321 head of the 7 weight heifers averaged 748 at 131.84. The most impressive quote out of Kimball I saw was 68 head, 828 pound steers, 140.75. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.